Good morning, Year 4. Welcome to Maths for Thursday, the 25th of February. The good news is that we don't have a maths lesson tomorrow because we're going to be doing like a curriculum day thing. So this is our last maths lesson of the week, and today we're going to be learning about the 24-hour clock. Did a bit of digital time yesterday, slipped into our AM and PM work, and today we're going to be talking about the 24-hour clock. Okay, so let's warm up as always. Oh, that's not what we need to warm up, is it? No, thank you. We'll try that one again, shall we? There we go. Come on, whiteboard. There we go. So, as I said, using the 24-hour clock today, so sort of all digital time. But before that, we're going to warm up. There's quite a lot of sums on here because some of you are super speedy fast at these and some of you take a little bit longer. So I would say pause for maybe 5 minutes, see how many you can get through, use column addition for these if you can, and make sure you line those up properly. Okay, so this top one here, 1142 add 288. That 2 is in the hundreds column and that one there is in the hundreds column. So make sure you put that 2 into the hundreds column, the 8 into the tens column, so directly under the 4, and the ones here, the 8 here goes in the ones column, which is directly under the 2. So just make sure you line those columns up properly, okay, so you get the answers correct. Off you go, pause 5 minutes, see how far you get. Okie doke, let's move on to the answers. I can't remember where I put them. Here they are. There we are. So show you the answers there. Pause again and you can just check you've got the right answer. If you haven't got the correct answer, just have a little look and see if you can work out where you went wrong. You don't need to rub out as well. If you have got the answer, you've made a mistake in the answer, don't need to rub it out. We don't rub out in school, do we? Just put a line through it and correct it underneath or something like that. Okay, we don't need to be rubbing out. Okay, so pause and check those for me. Okay, moving on. So today, as I said, we're going to be thinking about all about the 24-hour clock. So a day has 24 hours in it, and a clock around around analog clock has 12 hours on it, which is what we talked briefly about yesterday. This means that each time will happen twice every day. So this clock here is showing 2:30, and this one is showing 2:30 in the morning. So most of us are asleep at 2:30 in the morning. And then this clock here is shown 2:30 in the afternoon, and you can see that they are exactly the same. Okay, now we would know probably if it's 2:30 in the morning because it'd be dark, and 2:30 in the afternoon would not be dark. So in our country, certainly that is how we would tell the difference between them. But it can be quite tricky to tell the difference, particularly times like 5:30. When sometimes in the summertime it's already light at 5:30, and sometimes in the winter time it's already dark at 5:30 in the evening. So times the sun comes up and down at different times of the year. So that can be quite difficult to tell sometimes if it's the morning or the night. So a new type of clock was devised to help with that, and that was the digital clock. And in digital time, we can either have the digital time like you were doing yesterday, and write the same times and then put AM or PM after them, which is how we differentiate between the afternoon and morning on analog clocks. Or, so you can use a 12-hour clock as a digital clock, or on digital time, you can use a 24-hour digital clock. Okay, so here's our AM and PM that we talked about yesterday. So we have to use a way to write these times differently. So one way is to write AM and PM. So you could say it's 2:30, 2:30 AM, 2:30 PM. Okay, and this is how we were doing it digitally yesterday. So we had the hour, 2 and 30 minutes past the hour AM, that shows it's 2:30 in the morning, and then 2:30 PM shows it's 2:30 in the afternoon. Okay, so that's one way to do it, and that's what's called using a 12-hour clock. Okay, because we just use AM and PM to differentiate which is the morning and which is the afternoon. A 24-hour clock doesn't do that. okay, this is another way, and another way is to use the 24-hour clock. So it means that after 12 hours, after 12 o'clock lunchtime, instead of going back round to 1 o'clock and to 2 o'clock and to 3 o'clock in the afternoon like that again, they just keep counting. Okay, so instead of going from 12, so we start, maybe this is midnight, we go 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock lunchtime, and then going back to 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 o'clock. Instead of doing that, when they get to 12 o'clock at lunchtime, they just carry on counting. So they say 13, 14, 15, 16. Now we don't really say 13 o'clock, 14 o'clock, because that can get quite confusing. We just sort of say 13:10 or whatever the time is. Now the reason why this time is actually was actually sort of invented, if you like, is to do with the army, and when they were trying to give really precise instructions and things, when they were, but not just the army, but as an example, times would get quite confused sometimes. It wouldn't always be clear if it said AM or PM, and people wouldn't know what their instructions were sometimes, and it started to get a little bit confusing. People would get muddled up with whether they meant the day or the night. So this clock was kind of invented to help that and to help avoid confusion, because if it says 13, that's clearly very different to 1, isn't it? So, and that goes all the way up to 23. And then when it gets to 23:59, it goes back to 0 again. Okay, so that's why it's called a 24-hour clock, because it goes all the way up to 24 and then starts again. So a 4-digit format is used, 2 digits for the hour, a colon, which is those 2 little dots, and then 2 for the minutes. Okay, so it's set out in a very precise way. So here's how we have it. So before, when we had 6 AM, and we put an AM in front of it so that we would know that that was in the morning. On the 24-hour clock, we don't have AM. You just put a 0 in front of the 6, and it says 06. It's got to have 2 dots, 2 digits, sorry, before the colon dots and 2 afterwards. So it's 06.00. So we know that that one is just 6 in the morning, okay? And this one is the other way around. So we have 10:30. And it was 10:30 AM on a 12-hour clock, and then it's just 10:30 by itself. Okay, so the hours the hours stay the same. So times to convert between 12 and 24-hour time in the afternoon, we have to add or subtract 12 hours. Okay, so what would have been 6 o'clock in the afternoon or evening, so 6 o'clock sort of tea time, becomes 1800 hours. Okay, so it's 18.00. So what we've done is basically got to that 12. How we get to 18? We've got 12 when we got to the top of the clock, and we've just added on 6 more. And 12 add 6 is 18. Okay, so if we want to work it out the other way, so if we've got a time in 24-hour time, so it says 22:30 here, to put it back to the other time, if we want to work out what time that is, we take off 12. And if you take off 12 from 22, you'll get 10, won't you? And then the minutes stay the same. So when you're converting to 24-hour time, the minutes stay the same as they were, and the hours, you just, if you want to make it into 24-hour time in the afternoon, you just add 12 onto each of the hours. Okay, so I don't know if I put a clock on here actually. Let me have a quick look. Whoops, it's all funny. No, I didn't. Doesn't matter. So here, have a little look. Can you convert these to 24-hour time? Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple of them to help you to start with. Okay, so 2:45 AM, so that's 2:45 in the morning. So to change that into 24-hour time, we need to take the AM off because we don't have that, and then we just need to have 2 digits before the dots. So that just turns into 02:45. Okay, and we just take the AM off the end. We do that for all the AM ones. All right, now this one, 10:20 AM, we've already got 2 digits before and 2 digits after, so we don't need to add a 0 to that because there's already 2 digits in before the 2 dots and 2 digits afterwards. Take off the AM, and then this is the last one I'll help you with. This one is PM. Okay, so we want it to be the afternoon, so we keep the minutes the same, we ditch the PM, and we just add 12 to this. Okay, so 12 and 1 more makes 13, so it's going to be 13:55. Okay, so just want you to pause here and see if you can do the rest. The rest are all actually PMs. So you just basically need to add 12 to each of these hours here. So 3 add 12, or 12 add 3, it's easier. 12 add 5, 12 add 8, and 12 add 11 there, okay? So, and then knock off the PMs and then you're done, okay? So just pause here and see if you can have a little try at that for me. Okay, so let's look at them. So for 3:05 p.m, so we're talking that's the time that we in normal times would go home from school. So that's in the afternoon. So we're going to take away the PM and then we're going to add 12 and 3 more. Okay, so because when we got to the top of that clock for 12 and then we carried on for 3 more hours. So 12, 13, 14, 15. So 12 add 3 is 15. My minutes stay the same and I lose the PM. So that's that one. 5:35 p.m. tea time-ish in the evening. Again, I'm going to get my 12 and I'm going to add on 5 more, which makes 17. And then I'm going to keep my minutes the same and lose the PM. So it should be 17:35. Okay, same here. I'm going to do my 8 and 12. Okay, so 12 add 8, whichever's easier, which makes 20. So this one is just 20:40. Okay, that's the time. It's 20:40. And then 11:25. Again, you add the 12 on, which makes 23:25, and we lose the PM. So you can see there that all of these PM ones have just added 12 onto the hours and then taken the PMs off. And the AM ones, you just take the AM off. And if it's only got 1 digit there, you just stick a 0 in front as like a placeholder. Okay, so now the other way around, pause here and have a go. This time we're converting these times to 12-hour times. So these are already digital, and now I want you to convert them back to 12-hour times because sometimes it goes the other way. So in my head, when I read a time like 21:05, I always sort of convert it in my head back to the times that I'm most familiar with. And I even still do that as an adult. So it's a really good skill to be able to have in case you end up like me and you always do that. So the first one, for example, we can lose that 0. We don't need that 0 for our 12-hour time. 3:15, and we have to say it's AM, so we have to write AM after it. Okay, this one here, again, we know that that's AM because it's less than 12, so it must be an AM time, so we're going to put AM after it. It's already got 2 digits here. Can you see? Okay, so it's got 2 digits already, so I'm just going to stick AM after it. And then this one, 14:45, I need to take away 12, don't I, from this number. So I'm going to take away the ones first. So if I take away 2 ones from there, because I'm taking away 12, that will leave me 2. And if I take away a 10 as well, then that will leave me with just 2. So I've got 2:45, and then I put PM after it. Because if I don't put PM, I might think that it's the 2:45 in the morning one. So for each of these following ones, they're all PM ones too. Can you take away 12 from that number to give you the hours? And then the minutes stay the same, and then pop on AM or PM afterwards. So pause here and have a try at that for me, please. Okay, let's look at them together. We've got 16:20 here, so I know it's going to be 20. I know it's a PM time because it's more than 12, and I'm going to take away 12 from 16. Okay, so I'm going to take off 2 from the 6. Okay. So I'm just going to show you what I'm trying to do in my head, I think. So I have to do, I've got 16. Hang on, let's type it. It'll be easier and a lot neater. So I've got 16 and I'm going to take away 12. Okay, that's what I'm picturing in my head. So I'm going to do 2 away from 6 is 4, and 1 take away 1 is 0. So I'm going to be left with just 4, aren't I? So 4:20, and I know it's PM because it's more than 12. And the same here, I'm going to do my 18 there. I'm thinking that that's the picture I've got in my head when I'm doing 18 take away 12. So I'm going to do my 2 away from 8 is 6, 1 away from 1 is nothing, so it's going to be 6:55, but it's going to be in the afternoon, so PM. Okay, 21 the same. So if I had 21 up here, don't Sorry if this up here isn't helping you, it's just I'm trying to show you what I picture in my head when I'm doing my taking aways to make it a bit more straightforward. So I'm taking away my 12. So I just need to take off that and I will end up with 9. Okay, so I'd have to do exchanging, it's a bit of a faff, but I'm doing 21 take away 12 is 9. And then my minutes stay the same and my PM. And then 22 take away 12 is going to be 10:35 PM as well. Okay, so well done if you got those right. Don't panic too much if you didn't. It is a faff to get to do those, and lots of adults still have to really think about what those numbers are. You just kind of learn it as you get older. Okay, so Sylvia, your challenge for today is just as we've just been doing. You've got to convert these 24-hour times into AM and PM times. Okay, in fact, it's the other way around, isn't it? It's convert these. That's not the right way around. I'm so sure. I got something the wrong way around yesterday as well, didn't I? I obviously convert. Doesn't matter that much, but so I'm going to say convert these AM and PM times into 24-hour times. That makes much more sense. Convert these AM and PM times into 24-hour times. So they're in AM and PM already, and you've got to write them as 24-hour times. So the AM ones, this one will be 0, 20, just lose the AM. And then if they're in the afternoon, if they're PM times, which they are over here, then remember you need to do that adding 12 to the hours and then knocking the PM off the end. Okay, so have a go at those. And then, in fact, did I go through all of those? I don't think I wrote all the answers, did I? Right, we'll go through them quickly now then, because otherwise you won't be able to mark. So if you haven't done them yet, pause here and do them first. And then press go when you're ready. Okay, let's quickly go through the answers. So we've got 7, 20 there. Then we've got 0, 8, past 8 there, and then this one is always likes to be. It's really annoying that I can't get them in the right boxes. This is why I always write them before I start doing it. Right, and then we've got 1:16 AM. So again, I've got to have 2 digits before my colon, semicolon, and 2 after. So my colon, and then 56 stays the same, and I don't bother with AM or PM. 10 has already got 2 before it, so that's all right. So it just becomes 10:42, and it's AM, so it stays the same. And 12 ... 51, like that. So the AMs are pretty easy as long as I remember to put that 0 next to the single digit ones. So hopefully you did those. And then over here, slightly more tricky, but it's not too bad. So we've just got to add 12 to each of these times because they're all the afternoon times, aren't they? So 12 and 3 makes 15, 25. Don't need to do the PM because we know, because we've added the time on. And then 7, 20, so we need to add the 12 on again, which makes 19, 20. And then 12 and 8 makes 20, so it's going to be 20, 0, 5. And then I need to add, whoops, this one's interesting. Okay, so this one is 12, 20. Now if I add 12 onto this one, it goes to 24. And do you remember when I said it goes to 24, we go back to the start again? Okay, so this time here we go back to 0 again. Is zeros? Oh, what's happened there? We go 0, 0, dot 20. Okay, so some of you might have put 24 in there because you just added on 12. But remember I said when it gets to 24, we don't actually write 24, it goes back to 0 again and starts counting from the beginning again. Okay, so that one's actually 0, 0, 20. And then 1 add 12 is 13. So that one is that. And then 4 add 12 is 16, or 12 add 4. So that's that one. 10 add 12 is 22. And then, whoops, and then we've got the same here again, look. We've got 1251. If we add 12 and 12 together, we get 24, and we know that we don't write 24. Once it's 24, it goes back to 0. So it's 0, 0 again. Done that same thing again. 0, 0, 51. Okay, so well done if you got those, particularly those 12 PM ones, correct, because they were a bit tricky. Okay, so let's move on to the gold activity. Eva says the clocks are showing the same time of day. Is she correct? Explain how you know. Pause here, write yourself down an answer. Come back to talk about it in a second. Okie doke. So Eva could be correct. The clocks are both showing 20 past 8. However, you should recognise that the analogue clock does not show whether the time is AM or PM. So it could be showing 8:20 AM or it could be showing 8:20 PM. Now this digital clock, really, if it was correct, completely correct, it should have a 0 in front of it. So if it did, then that would be in the morning, wouldn't it? So she could be correct because they could be both saying 8:20, but actually this one doesn't tell you if it's the morning or the afternoon. So it could be showing 8:20 in the morning or 8:20 in the afternoon. So she could be correct, but we don't know for definite that she is. Okay, and that's why the AM PM thing is really important to include. Okay, let's move on to platinum, if you're not too tired already. Is Teddy correct? Prove it. So he says, if the time has an 8 in it, it has to be 8 o'clock. Have a little think, write something down, and we'll come back in a second. Okay, I like questions like this. They make your brain sort of start to think, and a good thing to do with these two is to like jot stuff down, scribble stuff down, write some times down. Try and write some times down that aren't 8 o'clock. Okay, let's see. Teddy is not correct. So if you started to try and write down some times, I was really hoping that you would write a time down like this. This is actually 6 o'clock in the evening, isn't it? 1800 hours. And that's not 8 o'clock, is it? It's 6 o'clock. You could have 8:30. So that's not 8 o'clock, is it? Because it's 8:30. It could be any number of minutes after 8 o'clock. And here we've got 10:38. That's not 8 o'clock either, is it? It's 38 minutes past 10. So proving it is basically just writing down some of these times and say, well, these times are not 8 o'clock. Therefore, I've proved that Teddy is not correct. Sorry, Teddy, not today. Okay, that is the end of your maths lesson and actually the end of your maths for this week. We're going to do some more time next week, shifting between digital and analog and things like that. And also counting on time, because that can be quite a tricky thing to do as well. So I will see you next week for more maths on Monday. Bye.